It sounds like I'm saying let go of everything that you think makes your life sane and halfway reasonable. And that's why you're not awake yet, you see. Because when I tell you, let go and let God be all there is of you, you find out how much you're attached to control and authority, and how much you feel your survival and safety depends upon it. And what's happened? I've stated the truth, and the belief you're suffering from comes up. So you can see it right in the face. Oh, I'm afraid of being out of control. I am becoming aware that this is going to be impossible for me. Well, now that's just an idea, and you can believe it or not that it's impossible. Tain't so. And then you can recognize that that's just a thought, that you can't do it. And you can make a decision to try to let go of control and to go to that place of excellence in you. And practice this. Practice listening without figuring it out, and then trusting into what you hear. Not relying upon yourself, trusting into what you hear. Because this is the way you become free of the infatuation with personal authority that causes you to be completely inattentive to the presence of God in you, the presence of life with a capital L, the presence of love, the presence of truth in you, the presence of mind with a capital M in you, that would, if let in, not only allow what you call your physical eyes to see with perfect vision, but to be able to see the kingdom of heaven, reality that's confronting you, that you've been seeing in a distorted way because of your mindsets and your interpretations that you've been applying to it. As I've said before, prayer is saying yes to God. Prayer is not asking God anything. Prayer is saying, yes, Father, I want to see with your eyes. Intellectually, I'm beginning to grasp that I don't really have a personal capacity to see creation separate from you on my own. This sense of a me with a capacity to see things independently is pure fantasy. I can grasp the idea even though I don't get the meaning fully. And with the grasp of that idea, I am willing to turn to you, Father, and inquire of you, and yield to you, and let you in, and let your presence apparently replace my present sense of myself, which I'm now beginning to think may well be nothing more than pure fantasy, even though what I am is real. That's saying yes to God. And it's a complete lack of energizing any personal capacity you have. It's like a kid who goes and sees a Harry Potter movie with his friends, his buddies, and they come home. And for the rest of the afternoon, they run around the backyard being the characters in the movie and overcoming evil with good and enjoying the struggle and so on. And then they hear, Henry, it's time for dinner. And reality sets in, and they have to abandon the fun of their make-believe sense of themselves. The Father is saying, Michael, come on in, come on home, come on back from the fun you've been having, thinking you're an independent entity. And so you yield to reality and abandon your fantasy, that the thrill of which you thought was so much fun. Does that answer your question?
Much more than before, yes. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yes.
What I'd like you to do, or what I'm trying to do, is tie this in with what you were talking about on Sunday at the course in Miracles. It seems to me the more we abandon our sense of reality, or the more we, how did you put it? Instead of rising up, we're folding in, for lack of a better term. And on last Sunday, I wasn't here, but I was listening to it on the internet, and you were talking about how we would interact with other people, I believe. And I'm just wondering, I was thinking at the time, what is the difference between lovingly helping somebody in intervention, where it's maybe not always wanted, and then I was thinking today when I'm listening to you that maybe as we let go of the ego, that it's easier to help the next person. I don't know. You can tell I'm a little confused on this.
It's a good point. Certainly, an ego could listen to what I said and say, well, I always knew I had a right to speak up and tell someone else what to do. I never had a problem with that. I've always been able to lay it straight on the line with someone else and tell them exactly where to go and what to do. But the key here is basically what I've been expressing today. In course terms, I would say you need to turn within to the altar and inquire of God. Today I've expressed it as going to that place of excellence in you that is the very presence of God. And you do this before you open your mouth up. And that which says, oh, well, I knew that. I've never had any trouble telling somebody what to do, or I've never had trouble correcting them. I've never had trouble telling them when they were wrong, and blah, blah, blah. This has nothing to do with going to the place of excellence. That's part of the mutually agreed upon structures of relating to other people in a state where everyone is separated from God. And so there won't be love there. You know, every week I'm talking with someone, and every month, for many months of the year, there are more who come to the gatherings. And I don't mince words with any of you. And I call a spade a spade. I call an illusion an illusion. And I sometimes say, what you're doing is idiotic. But you know that when I'm saying it and using those words, I'm not really calling you an idiot. And I'm not criticizing or judging or condemning you. But I don't hesitate to point out when something you are doing, when something that you are doing should be abandoned because it's having the opposite effect from what you thought it would give you, and you haven't recognized that it's not working, and you're suffering needlessly. So, when you are willing to not be in control, when you are willing to say yes to God, and you do it, as I said, with gentleness and in the quiet and in your peace, this doesn't mean that your mouth will not open up and be very direct. Paul's mouth is opening up and being very direct. But he's not authorizing the words. He's not figuring out the words. God, you say, you mean I'm going to have to end up being like Paul? I'm going to have to become a nobody like Paul? You know what? I'm a nobody too. Because I open my mouth, Paul opens up his mouth simultaneously, and the love of the Father is what comes through because both of us are yielding to the Father. You see? And neither one of us is nobody, but both of us are not the somebodies we would have thought we were if we claimed a right to a mind of our own, a space of our own, and an existence separate from any external source. You see what I'm saying? Paul still doesn't get the feel fully of the fact that he is being divinely natural. But it's coming clearer and clearer. And he persists. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you very much.
You are welcome. You are welcome. You see, egos have radar, and they recognize other egos right off the bat. And the moment someone speaks from their ego, all the other egos around it know that this one is part of the group and knows what the mutually agreed upon definitions and rules are. And so if authority is expressed, the others know how to counteract it and how not to let this other first so-and-so get too big for his britches, and yet manage to let enough of a tug-of-war to occur so that there's a sense of vigor to existence and worth to existence, you see. This is why you need to find this place of excellence in you and wish to express excellence regardless of what anyone is going to think, so that love can find expression that bypasses the ego and the others and allows the divine one that is there behind the mask of mutually agreed upon definitions to feel and respond. So you certainly will not become passive and quiet, but the noise you make will tend to be music. And it will tend to be expressed where those who can hear the music of it are. And it will tend not to find expression where those whose ears are attuned to raucous noise would be unable to hear. And then, for those of you who have a great deal of trust, you might find yourself making raucous noises in the presence of those used to raucous noises, but expressing divine ideas in that context, if there's half a chance that it will be heard in the language of raucous noise. Do you see what I'm saying? Yes. It takes someone with more trust, because for someone who doesn't speak raucous lingo, it can seem inconsistent with what love is or how love can be expressed. It would be like Paul beginning to speak Russian right now, because he wouldn't know what the words meant, and he would really have to trust that what was coming out was the truth he expects to come out when he's speaking English. I mention that so that you will understand that those whose language of perception is raucous noise rather than music are not outside the reach of divine love. And there will be someone who can speak in a way that registers with them as being real and connected, that allows for the same capacity that they have to step outside of their boxes, that you have to step outside of yours when love comes to you in the way that you're hearing it today. You see? Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Hands. In the back. Behind you. Further back. The bottom of the barrel that's further down than you.
Just in case I am unable to allow the sudden shift of perception that I've been hoping for, would it be appropriate for me to go ahead with the surgery on my foot in the fall?
Yes, it would.
And it will heal? Okay.
Yes, it will.
Good. Thank you.
That is the truth. And so now you can relax without any sense of pressure and without any sense of needing to avoid surgery, and in your peace be completely open to regeneration and redemption before the day of surgery.
I'm hoping for that.
Indeed. Persist.
I will. Thank
with
you.
gentleness. Persist with willingness, not with the strength of willfulness. Yes. You all value personal power so much. It's part of your culture. You were raised to. You were educated. You were convinced. You were threatened. You were told how terrible your life would be if you didn't exercise authority well, if you didn't take charge. And as a result, there's a conditioned guilt that automatically comes into play if you play with the idea of yielding to God and willingly abandon authority, personal, private authority. That's why I keep bringing in the other side of the picture. Paul is yielding to God. And he isn't out in the middle of a forest, leaning against a giant tree, enjoying the wildlife. Uninvolved with people. When you yield to the Father, you begin to be a more meaningful presence. And more wisdom comes out of your mouth. And more people are touched. And dominoes start to fall. Connections are made. Ahas occur. But when the day is done, Paul can't look back and say, look at what I did. He has to say, look at what I allowed. And when you say, look at what you allowed, your attention naturally goes to what was allowed rather than the one who allowed it. Right? So, where's the benefit? Well, I'll tell you, and Paul can tell you, but the benefit comes in the experience that is had while it's happening. It's an experience of absolutely no threat. It's an experience of peace. It's an experience of connectedness where togetherness is a wholeness rather than a gathering of a bunch of independent parts. the absence of fear feels dull because it's not stimulating. But there's something there to replace the stimulation. It's just that it's more subtle. Like the difference between 3 shades of pink. But the subtleties are infinite. And as Paul lets himself be in this place, the infinite subtleties will register more fully. Right now, the experience is a desirable experience to him, not a compelling experience. You can't get hooked on the experience, else you could become addicted to it, and it would be an involuntary joining. The joining has to be on purpose. It has to be conscious. Paul has to make it. You have to make it. Without enticement. It is a joyful experience. It is a far better experience than anything Paul ever experienced independently. If you want to know what the hooker is, what the clincher is, and what keeps him coming back, you might say, is all of you. It's the fact that he's not alone. There are a bunch of other jerks just like him. A bunch of other nobodies who, in their nobodiness, are places of excellence that are meaningful. And he does have an experience of that, even if you are not constantly expressing that excellence. And so, and I'm revealing some of this to him as I'm talking, because he hasn't sat and paid attention to it so that he could be conscious of it. He is having an experience of the oneness of being that involves every single one of you, and an experience of it all as God. And he gets the feedback from you that says all the time that he was not being in charge, all of the time that he was willing to abandon personal authority, something happened that was healing for you. He can't take credit for it in his own mind, and he doesn't know why or how. But one thing is clear to him, that for that kind of thing to happen is a hell of a lot more wonderful than anything that ever happened when he was trying to be independent and authoritative and responsible and respectable according to the mutually agreed upon definitions of worth. And most of all, the thing that's clear to him is that